was lost and incomplete. I didn't know where I should go. 1,000 pounds upon my soul, and you came from nowhere, and everything fell into place. You make it better every day. You take me away.
Hey, computing is a race. Cybersecurity always on the chase. The enemy always looking for a taste. But you know that we gon' put them in their place. The internet's a funny space. Mind your business while you go about your day. Before you know it, you a hack scam case. And all you had is gone without a single trace. Now you need help and no one hears your cry. That all big tech companies provide. They tell you pay more for defense to hide, but you don't know that the enemy's inside. It's a cold world, no one to confide in, unless you find help from a selfless God. Better than a bad man, strong as tide. You in the right place at the right time. Wolves in sheepskin, working midnight shift. But don't worry, we won't let them in. Wolves in sheepskin, working midnight shift. security always on the chase. The enemy always looking for a taste, but you know that we gon' put them in their place. The internet's a funny space. Mind your business while you go about your day. Before you know it, you a hack scam case, and all you had is gone without a single trace. Now you need help, and no one hears your cry that all big tech companies provide. They tell you pay more for defense to hide, but you don't know that the enemy's inside. It's a cold world, no one to confide in unless you find help from a selfless God. Better than a bad man, strong as tide. You in the right place at the right time. Wolves in sheepskin, working midnight shifts, but don't worry, we won't let them in. Wolves in sheepskin, working midnight shift, but don't worry, no, we won't let them in. Wolves in sheepskin, working.
Hello, 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 hello. Glad to see you guys in here. Don't mind the hat. Boop. Sorry. Hope you guys are all doing well. Looking forward to this stream. Tons of comments, tons and tons of comments, tons of great comments, tons of savage comments too. Probably because of the elephant in the room. My last video has gotten on a lot of people's nerves, probably because I wasn't very clear. You're absolutely welcome, Rob. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to provide solutions that can make your tech life even a little bit easier, but especially in times when people are in a crisis, such as a malware infection, hacks. I consider that it's a great responsibility and an honor to be able to provide solutions that can greatly and dramatically improve people's lives. So I'm sorry, I can't take myself seriously wearing this hat. I have a 1-year-old now, so little kid in me comes out every once in a while. Before we get started with all the announcements, I do want to cover a question from No More Heroes. Thank you for being here, buddy, by the way. You're talking about the host file, so I assume you're talking about host file hijack, which is something happens when you run transcript. Defender will often alert that there's been a modification to the host file. What's been done is Tron did some privacy fixes and blocked Windows telemetry, or Windows gathering of information. There's pros and cons to this, mostly cons. Telemetry, most people don't like Microsoft using us as guinea pigs, and to do all of their updates and patches, they use us all as guinea pigs. And who knows else what they're getting. And you know, they do make money. It is really in Microsoft's benefit to be able to track what you do with your computer. When you disable telemetry, it blocks those telemetry servers, which are at Microsoft. That in turn alerts Defender that maybe Windows can't talk to the servers. It's my belief that Windows just doesn't like when you block their telemetry because they make a ton of money. It's a big part of their business to be able to spy on you. So it's a false positive. I did make a video. It's on my channel. If you just search in my channel for, I'll actually show you. Let me go over here. So if we go over here, we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll go over to my channel. And we'll just go over here. My channel. And then right here. So this video here, which is if you search host file hijack, this will tell you all about it to where you can check and make sure that you don't have anything goofy going on. But that's the full solution there. Essentially, you tell what's telemetry? Telemetry is a background gathering of information. So NVIDIA has telemetry. Lots of software have telemetry where it gathers background information about the machine. Things like maybe diagnostic information, how many times the program has been opened up. But Windows telemetry and NVIDIA telemetry are known to be kind of invasive with disregard for your privacy. So this is a bigger issue. Big tech believes that Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad Tron's helped you out with. Definitely show some appreciation to the Tron makers. I'm actually interviewing a lot of the Tron guys very soon. So big tech basically believes, even Facebook, Google, everybody, even though I'm on Google and I got to, I'm not supposed to necessarily knock my boss, but big tech believes we're allowed to know everything and we're responsible and we're trustworthy. So we're using it for your benefit. But if you read the privacy agreements on a lot of software, you'll see that they know what you're writing in text messages. That's why, even you watching this video right now, if you're watching with a smartphone or a computer, that you're probably going to get targeted ads related to the stuff we talk about. It's kind of spooky how big tech works, but that telemetry is part of that machine. So blocking Windows telemetry greatly improves the privacy of Windows. It's one of the things. I mean, there's VPN, there's a few other things, but Tron does a lot for privacy. And one of them is blocking telemetry, which just sets Windows off. It sets Microsoft off. Okay. So yeah, no more heroes as a false positive. You could just allow that in Defender, and there's nothing to worry about. I've never seen or heard of that that positive alert going to an actual threat, because there's malware that has hijacked the host file for real, and Defender didn't even see it. It only alerts to blocking telemetry. So they're trying to scare you away from your privacy. Okay. Next question. How to do PXE booting from home? I don't know if Windows XP Home Edition can boot from PXE. I know Pro possibly could if it's a setup for domain. But Home's not really set up for that type of boot. Next question. Can you tell me why my laptop suddenly turns off every time I want to enter my client mode V32 Counter-Strike launcher? If it's powering off randomly, it could be overheating. It could be a power drop. So I would use a program such as Quick CPU or Hardware Info, in addition to MSI Afterburner if you have your own GPU, and see if your temperatures are going up, because typically when you game and the computer shuts down, sometimes you'll see a blue screen of death, but sometimes it'll just drop in power. So you might have a faulty power adapter, and then might even be drivers. Something that you should do, really, everyone should do this, is update your BIOS. When you buy a new laptop, it's got the stock BIOS. They don't update BIOS. And BIOS affects power, thermals, stability, security, how your hardware works with Windows, all of that. BIOS is huge, and it's a very common thing people overlook. A lot of weird things that happen on computers is often resolved with a BIOS update. And the main reason is most people don't update their BIOS. Okay. Can I record a clip on how to boost FPS in any games like 2023? Yeah, Johnny, I did some videos that kind of cover it through Deepload, and then I kind of sectioned it off into like 4 or 5 videos. But I do want to make a video that covers specifically for gaming in 2023 that will include a lot of GPU-based tweaks. So yeah, great idea. I think I will do that. Hey, Gumika. Gumika asks, should I switch to Windows 11? This is an opinion, and there's many opinions out there. My opinion is if it comes on your computer, you buy a new laptop, there's no reason why you shouldn't stay with Windows 11. But if you're on Windows 10, in my opinion, Windows 10 is perfectly fine. I don't see any benefits to it yet. There's been some subtle differences with newer, 13th gen Intel processors, which do better on Windows 11 because of their core scheduling. But that's only been in certain circumstances, and then other circumstances, particularly to gamers, Windows 10's been performing better. Windows 11 is technically Windows 10. They're the same platform. So it's not like going from Windows 7 to Windows 10 or Windows XP to Windows 7. It's kind of like they literally did Windows 10, added a feature update, and they called it Windows 11. So it's more of a facelift and a feature update because it's not a new operating system. They've separated it from Windows 10, but it's still the same platform. So it'd be essentially like giving you an Xbox One, then changing the operating system, but it's still being an Xbox One and still running Xbox One games, and everything's still being the same, except it looks and feels different, and you've called it Xbox 2. Same platform, even the build number, if you look into the back of it, it's a Windows 10 build, but a different number. So I don't think there's a reason yet to jump to Windows 11. But if you really like the features of Windows 11, then by all means do it. Me personally, I call it Windows 10 Extra Clicks Edition, because you got to do extra little clicks to get everything done that you could normally do just with a couple less clicks. But no, I don't think you need to. If you want to, go ahead. Let's see. What else we got? Yeah. So a lot of people that run Tron will see things such as managed by your organization. Let me show my screen real quick. So I assume a lot of you guys have run Tron script recently. And you guys might see, there's my Discord. You guys notice that after you run Tron script, you start seeing managed by your administrator or managed by your organization. See this little setting here? This is really common when you run Tron script, because what we've done is we've made changes to the group policy editor. Whenever you override some of the settings menu, like through here or through the reg edit, it's going to say managed by organization. In this case, I made it to where I'm not forced to get feature updates. I also don't automatically download drivers all the time, and I'm also not using the bit service. I'm not sure if you guys are all familiar with the bit service. Let's see. Yeah, East-West. I totally agree. O&O Shutup 10 is what Tron uses, and I made a video on O&O Shutup 10 because first off, it's safe, and you don't have to be a computer expert. You can just literally use O&O Shutup 10, and it just gets the job done. You can't beat it. You know, a goofy thing that you can have happen with O&O Shutup 10 is if you run the somewhat recommended and you start turning off a lot of things, sometimes things won't work right. But if you stick with the recommended settings, everything works fine. You know, I don't know if you guys have seen my screen. Let me see. Let me share my screen here. So if you look at my taskbar, I don't have the big search bar here. And I also don't have Action Center over here. I don't have weather going on down here. These are some of the quality of life things that I've done through O&O Shutup 10 and that I do to all my PCs. Because I want the search feature, but I don't need it to take up, you know, a good third of my taskbar. I also don't like notifications up here telling me about the news and the weather or everything some app has to say. I mean, no thank you. And then I don't need my weather right here. I mean, if I want to check my weather, there's apps for weather on every device we own practically. Hey, it's Kinsey. So yeah, and I'm just really stoked. This year I'm expecting to be a good year. I did take a break December and January. Do the malware checks on Tron check all drives? Great question, Michael. No, it doesn't really scan locations necessarily. It scans Windows. So it's going to be installed applications, things that are in the registry, things that are installed on the computer. If they're just sitting on a hard drive and they're not installed, it's not going to do that unless it's on the C drive. So if it's in the downloads folder, Malwarebytes, Sophos, those two will for sure check there, but it won't check your D drive, E drive, and whatnot. To check external drives, once your machine's clean, I would run a standalone scanner. There's ESET online scanner, which is a free scanner. Malwarebytes is another good one, and I would just run those two. You know, maybe Hitman Pro even, but Hitman Pro is more for system as well. But now Tron mostly just checks what's on your computer. It's not going to verify flash drives, external drives, secondary drives, unless there's something installed and that's the location. Great question. Does search indexing improve my performance if it's off? Great question, Gumika. Yes, indexing, it does slow down the system um, a bit. And I do recommend turning off indexing on drives you run programs from, um, because but there's pros and cons to it. Some people like search indexing, especially if you're like in an office environment and you have tons of Word documents and PDFs, and you constantly are using the Windows search to find specific files with that. Indexing does make it quicker. So in an office computer, I don't typically turn off indexing. So, but for gaming, absolutely. Um, okay, where can I find the transcript download if it's not on Reddit main page? That's where you want to stick to it. It's also on GitHub, but that one doesn't really work. That's just to show it's open source. But there's many links on the Reddit page, but that's where you want to get it from. I would recommend that if you're worried about not being able to find it, is to download it now or when it's up and save it to a flash drive somewhere, because even an outdated version from 2 years ago is still going to get the job done. For if you're in a crisis response. Cabello, hey, how you doing? I used optimum settings on Ono Setup 10, but the list of DNS that appeared in your other video did not update. I had to type each domain name to redirect the host. Which DNSs are you talking about in your host file or your TCP/IP settings? I'm not really sure there. You might be going over my head. Maybe you know tech, Cabello. How can I tell if my PC is hacked? Great question. So hacks don't occur to normal home users the same way they do in the movies or to corporations. There usually needs to be malware there. So typically an infection will occur and it happens really quick, the hacked part. You've double clicked on something or something popped up on your screen. Usually you see something pop up like maybe a command prompt or a PowerShell, or you just opened up a program that didn't do anything. Like if you downloaded a free software, don't do that, by the way. I'll get more into that. If you download a program, you double click on it, nothing happens. Well, it did something. You should probably find out what it was. It might be a bad program. So to know you're hacked, you could start seeing, usually you start seeing it through third parties, such as your Google account being hit, because getting hacked is as easy as running a program and it immediately taking all of your browser logins, things that are saved to your browser. Don't save logins to your browser. Hey, Vernon, thanks for being here, man. Jacksonville, Florida, beautiful. I didn't get to spend much time there when I was in the Navy, but but yeah, and then you'll start seeing things, people logging into your accounts. There's some really spooky types of hacks which occur if you have a RAT or remote access Trojan, and that gives the attacker remote desktop access to your computer. So you can see some goofy stuff like them controlling your webcam, controlling your mouse, seeing what's on your screen. Those are the real spooky ones. So that's usually what people would call being hacked. Technically, being hacked is any type of intrusion, whether it's stealing your logins, taking information from you, ransomware. But the way, a hack or getting it, you have to get infected. If you're not infected, you're not going to get hacked at your home. You would have to be like in a corporation where your IP address doesn't change regularly, stuff like that. Let's see. What if command prompt pumps up for 2 seconds when I turn on my PC? Gumika, great question. That doesn't necessarily mean you're hacked. That could even be like specifically Armory Crate or a lot of applications that manage hardware do that. But a good way to fix that would be to run my one-click fix. So SFC tends to fix that. So my recent video, I think it's 3 videos ago, it's a one-click fix to fix 100% disk usage. That should fix it. If it doesn't do that, I don't know what manufacturer you have, but I know Armory Crate has that kind of glitch sometimes when things aren't working right. Great question. How to delete mode recommendation 15 mode of security on my PC always appears. Can you be a little bit more specific? Herramientas. Hope I'm saying you're correct. It's herramientas. Sounds Latin. PC always appears. Help me, please. Bello, your insight is excellent. Thank you as always. Thank you. It really means a lot to me. I'm actually having a rough time now because I've had a couple of videos bomb and I'm getting torched in the comments by my longtime subscribers. I use Google Chrome. and I use extensions, but one time I don't know how to, I got a virus, but it was called apps and it was like a virus. And I checked your video and it was a Trojan. Yeah, sketchy extensions is a very common way of getting infected. Um, let's see. Thanks for what you're doing, Nico. I've been in IT for a while. I can confirm you have great advice. That means a lot, Mike. I really appreciate that. I'm actually not a thoroughbred IT like yourself. I come from an engineering background and then kind of came into cybersecurity and IT later in life. Yeah, I really respect when I see eye to eye with what I call pure blood ITs. What antivirus do you think is the best free one with real time protection? That's a tough one. I really don't think real time protection is big with free ones. Free ones like to have real sensitive engines, like a Vast, for example. They like to have really sensitive engines. Depending on where you're at, Kaspersky's cloud security is technically the best free one, but there's some caveats to that, and I don't want to get political or nothing, but their main headquarters is Russia. That's all I'm going to say. And also, that is not available to all countries. So, for example, it's available here down in Latin America, but it's not available in the United States. So, Kaspersky doesn't let everyone in the world have their free antivirus. Another free antivirus, Avast, but it's not really good real-time protection. It's just really sensitive. It uses a lot of heuristics or behavior. It looks for things that look sketch and then automatically blocks them, whether they're good or not. Okay. Hey, Nico, I know this isn't really hacker related, but you recommend using DDU when installing? Yeah, Swifty, I actually made a video about installing NVIDIA drivers correctly, and DDU was actually part of it. That was how I removed NVIDIA drivers. I don't recommend doing it all the time, but when you're upgrading GPUs, absolutely, because it's a fresh install of NVIDIA software. So yes, definitely. Okay. Thanks for being here, WC14. Michael says Chrome, Edge, or Firefox for security and performance. What are your thoughts, recommendations? Brave's great. I also like Firefox with a couple add-ons like uBlock Origin. Chrome and Edge. Edge is actually not that bad. It's annoying, but it's actually not that insecure. And it's Chromium based now. Chrome technically is secure, but here's the thing. Chrome is very, very fast because it's run by Google, but it's not private in any way, shape, or form. And if that shouldn't surprise you because it's Google. Opera GX is cool, but it's not one of the most secure browsers out there, and it's a privacy nightmare, worse than Chrome. But it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be attractive to gamers and kids. So, and if you check the privacy agreement, that's how it pays the bills. So, not a big fan of Opera X, but I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying it's not dangerous. It's just not the most secure option. You're not going to see it used by a professional IT company. They're going to use Chrome, Edge, and Firefox. Brave is really cool. Brave versus Chrome, it really depends. Brave is more secure. It's a bit less annoying. It's more locked down, but Chrome is extremely compatible with everything, but it's a privacy nightmare. Everything you do on Chrome is being logged by the big machine of tech. So Google's, algorithm, YouTube. So it's great for me because if you're searching a lot of tech stuff and I know that you're searching that, I can make a video about it. Brave is a third party, or sorry, I wouldn't say third party. They're all third party. Brave is a browser made by one of the founders of Chrome. Who hated the privacy nightmare of Chrome, and he started up his own Chromium-based browser, which is significantly more private, works almost as good as Chrome, probably the same as Chrome, but doesn't have all the app integration. So Chrome's kind of really cool because of all the apps integration and all of that. So it is good. It's just not the most private. I'm going to say that, and it is a bit of a RAM hog, but it's Chrome. Everybody knows what Chrome is, and Chrome's good. I don't use Chrome because I'm, paranoid IT tech. So I use Firefox, but technically Chrome can do some stuff that I can't. Okay. Chromium is kind of like saying Windows based. So Chrome is the original, and it's kind of built on the platform called Chromium. You can also get Chromium by itself. That's kind of a scaled down Chrome-like browser. And then Brave is basically you take what Chrome is made of and make your own version. So lots of browsers are Chromium based. Edge is basically because Chrome by itself, Chromium is open source. Anybody can make a Chromium-based browser. You and I could get together and make our own browser called Nico Browser, and we could make it Chromium-based. But it wouldn't be Chrome, but it would have most of the bells, most of the functions. Firefox and Thunderbird, yes, you are clearly a pure blood IT, because that's what we love. Is Internet Explorer still used or is it discontinued? It's technically still used. I actually commented this on my last video. It wasn't related to this, but Internet Explorer is still in there and it does some functions. But no, it's not a full-fledged browser. It hasn't been updated in over a decade. Most websites won't work with it, but it's still there. It's still there. It's just, if you were to try and use it as your daily driver, a lot of websites won't load, or you'll have just text versions only. You know, it's not going to work right. So technically discontinued, but it still exists. And it's still on your Windows, most likely. Kamakzu, how to fix bad hit reg in games and delay. So getting like a no reg. Okay, what Kmax is saying is when you're playing a first-person shooter, you might hit some guy perfectly on your screen, but then it didn't get registered so that it didn't count, so the guy's still alive. Sometimes it's the game glitching, but what you can do on your end is first off reduce latency, but also if you have an NVIDIA card, there's input lag fix. There's boost. RTX card support input boost to where it's a bit more. But it's goofy because some games in the settings, let's assume you have this V of your vision, and there's all these different points on this V where you could be aiming to. When you have no boost, there's less of these, so you actually can't go in between these two lines. You would be only at these parts like on a clock. Well, when you have boost enabled, such as through RTX cards, you have like thousands of these possible lines where you could be aiming at in the game. Because if you're not on one of those lines, you're going to get a no reg. There. I haven't gotten to talk about that before. Joshua 17 says, is Linux better for gaming than Windows? It depends. Technically, Windows still owns gaming, but there's a lot of gaming that can be done on Linux. So, and there's a lot of games that can run that can run on Linux. Sometimes better, sometimes not. But the fact that you can run games on Linux at all is amazing. So, what I like to say to my fellow Linux viewers is, if you can run your games on Linux, that's freaking awesome because you didn't have to run Windows to game. But if you're an avid gamer, and you're only on Linux, you're going to either get used to not playing every game you want, or limiting what games you can play because you have to be on Linux. But I really hope that Linux continues to get better with gaming. But right now, it's not a replacement. Windows is still owning the gaming community. Welcome back, WC14. Gimmick says, Nico, I saw there is a PC tweaker called RM Tweaks. I'm not sure if it's helpful a lot with the FPS. And it also costs. You know, I'm actually going to be going after a lot of these tweak companies after yesterday, because a lot of my longtime subscribers actually unsubscribed with some really angry comments because they had actually had their computers bricked based on even one of them that I covered yesterday. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't give it a raving review. I said it was, nah, but I'm going to be going after a lot of these tweak company. So I'm not familiar with RM Tweaks, but I will make myself aware of it. RM Tweaks. Oh, it's a package? RM Tweaks will increase your FPS and lower your... You know what? This really spooks me out. Let me share my screen here. Okay. RM Tweaks. During working with hardware, I've learned to max out. So basically, all of the most hacked games on the planet. You know, I would avoid. Absolutely. Let me change this back. Look, there's not a tweak There's not PC tweaks out there that are only for sale, that are being sold for $30 from some guy. Matter of fact, if you can't do it through my channel or through Jay's 2 Cents channel, and someone's trying to charge you for it, they're either charging you for something you can do on by yourself, or it's a scam, or you're letting someone. I don't know who this person is. I think that that since I've never heard of them, there's no articles about them. You're just paying some guy, and then they're giving you a program. I think it's a scam, and it may be a hack that you paid for, like a hack to get you hacked to steal your accounts. And in the best case scenario, I mean, the things that it was offering is stuff that you do, like by watching a YouTube video, like how to increase FPS. Well, you do some things. So I don't see why I would pay anybody $30. I wouldn't pay Best Buy $30 to increase my FPS. Adam X also has one. Yeah, I would avoid buying tweaks off anybody. That's not how you get high FPS. That's not how you get a healthy machine with high performance. Do you know any advice for better ping when playing video games? Yes. So there's several things that affect ping, but it can be that your ISP is throttling you, which I'll get to. But a lot of it is router. So when you have your router, it's a little computer with a little processor, usually an ARM processor. Maybe if you're lucky, it's dual core, with a little bit of RAM, and especially over Wi-Fi. But you have one internet connection typically. The router is going to divvy out that internet to all the devices on your network, but it can't do it simultaneously. It's actually cycling. So it's going to go, you get a little bit, you get a little bit, you get a little bit, you get a little bit. It starts giving a little bit of internet to everybody who wants it, but nobody's getting that connection. You can't make one connection 10 connections. You just can't. You're just splitting it up really quick. So the faster that router cycles, the faster the processor, the more RAM it has, the better it cools, the less latency you're going to have, at least on your network level. Now, if your router is very fast, you have a very high performance gaming router or enterprise router. I mean, my router is a 1U rack with a hard drive in it, a quad core processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and it's designed for 500 computers. So that's because I'm real picky. But if you buy a real high-end, router that's designed for many clients, then you might reduce latency there. Also using Ethernet. Wi-Fi gaming is going to be higher latency. Now let's assume that you have a real good router that's all set up for that, and you're still having ping. Well, you should check your ISP. If your ISP ping keeps going up and down, you might be getting throttled. So if you're getting throttled, you might try using a VPN, because VPNs don't get throttled. Your ISP looks for certain traffic, like game traffic, high UDP, streaming, and they will reduce your internet to save money. Should they be doing that? No, but it's not illegal. So only business internet doesn't get throttled. What are your thoughts on mixing memory speeds? No, not good. If your motherboard even supports it, you're most likely going to drop to the lowest speed of the two. Do you think you should use TCP optimizer? Is that another one of those tweaker apps? What optimizers I've seen, such as what comes with ASUS, like an AI suite, they try to prioritize automatically applications that need more internet. In my experience, they don't work that great. If anything, they slow you down. They don't know when to give you more speed. Getting a internet optimizer, not a fan of them right now. WC14 asks a really good question. I'll get to you, KMax, as well. Internet test speeds, if you're asking if they're legit, that's a great question, because some of them kind of give some bogus information. Speedtest.net, I think by Ookla or Speakeasy and Ookla both had agreements with certain cable companies such as Spectrum and Comcast. So whenever they detected a speed test from a Comcast or a Spectrum customer, they would crank up the numbers on them, and they got a lot of flack for it. So, but I use speed of, I'll put it here. This one's not the greatest, but it's pretty good. That one there is pretty reliable because they don't have any connections with any of the cable companies. Speedtest.net is pretty good now, but they did recently, about 6 to 7 years ago, they got kind of caught hooking up Spectrum and Comcast. Okay. Let's see. A better device playing games. There was an input lag one. Is there a way to reduce input latency? If you have an RTX GPU, a lot of the games will support it, but no, not really. No, there's not a tool out there that reduces input latency. If you're using a wireless mouse that's high latency, that's one thing you should get rid of. Okay. What's the best software to make custom ISOs for Chris Titus recently was talking about custom ISOs. He does it a lot. His channel actually might be a good one to look at for custom ISOs. In fact, I would actually watch his channel personally every time I'd go into that, because I usually only make the only custom ISOs I make are custom windows. Thanks, my friend uses it every time he is lagging in the game. Oh, really? He's using a TCP optimizer and it's causing lag? That doesn't surprise me. Gumika asks if latency in the game is coming from GPU. No, I'm saying that GPU sometimes has features which reduce input lag, such as RTX cards. You're welcome, WC14. Is download speed of 46 megabits good? Upload speed 57, 25 milliseconds? Yes, that's a very good connection. Even in the United States, sure, there's gigabit connection, but that's a very fast connection. 25 millisecond latency, if that's in the United States, I would say that's gaming capable. Lower if you were trying to be an competitive FPS gamer, but that might be your router, might be limited to 25 millisecond latency. Reborn, hey Nico, love your content. What's your opinion on reshaders for games? Are they generally secure, and how does reshading work? See content creators offer them on their Patreons. You know, they could be. These are created by creators. I don't want to say they're safe because I haven't actually checked them out, but I know that the modding community has a lot of malware problems. So if you're going out and modding games and downloading mods and downloading cheats and things like that, there's a lot of malware floating around there. Displayed asks, is that connection good for the UK? Yes, that's a very good connection from the UK, not Ireland. Ireland should be way faster than that because they're right next to an undersea pipeline. So great questions. Who else has got something for me? Yeah, so a lot of gaming questions is maybe it's the year for gaming. Definitely. Like I was saying, I kind of took 2 months off. I think I was kind of adjusting to the move. I moved to Costa Rica from the United States and needed some time to recuperate mentally. Crypto malware. What about crypto malware, Cabello? You're welcome, Reborn. Anytime. So yeah, Reborn, to summarize, it could be all right, but it depends on that person. It could be good. It could be good. It could be bad. I really couldn't tell you. I mean, you're taking a risk in modding. It'd be kind of like when you modify your car, you're taking a risk. Thanks, Vernon. It's good to be back. It was an interesting transition. I got a lot of good things coming up. Got a big video planned. I'm hoping it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to be covering the psychological effects of getting hacked. Like there's people out there that they get their whole house hijacked. They get their smart home hijacked, their cameras hijacked, their computers controlled. They get blackmailed, and so I'm bringing in experts. I brought in some psychologists and some people giving testimonials, so it's not me trying to talk about something that's out of my wheelhouse. And that should be coming out this month. So I'm really excited about that one because I get a lot of viewers who are going through really traumatic things as a result of getting hacked and attacked. Cabello asks, are there malware who can take your system to mine using your system resources? Yes, Cabello. They're called crypto miners, sometimes called Bitcoin miners, and they're actually very common. Hey, Ventusper, what's good? Nico, I'm eating steak right now. Good, man. Ventusper is one of my contributors, and it's his birthday, and he's going out for steak with the family. Yeah, Vernon, it's going to be a big one. I've been working really hard on it. It's been months in the process. Finally found some people. I mean, it's really hard to find a doctor to cooperate on a video with you. I mean, because the doctors that do know about this phenomena, you ask them to be in a video, they're gonna be like, oh, no, thanks. Or they want to be really highly paid. And then it's also kind of hard because if you tell somebody the whole pitch, which I didn't tell you the whole pitch, they'll just steal your video. Hey, Fraser, how you doing? Critical Strike? What's Critical Strike? Is that a game? Sounds cool. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to interviewing the maintainers of the Tron script project. Hey, Ventusburg, my mom asked how the baby's doing. Baby's doing great. Baby Maverick is doing amazing. For those of you who don't know, I recently had a baby. He's about 14 months old, and he's a little stinker. Love that kid. So he keeps us pretty busy. Critical Strike, that's an Android game. I'm not familiar with it. Sounds good. I'm gonna check it out though. Always looking for a new mobile game. No, you're the best, bro. You're the best. You know, none of this channel would exist without you guys. Let me see. Did I hit 45,000? Almost. I think I'm right underneath. So I'm about to hit 45,000 subscribers. 44.9, or something like that. About to hit it. So stoked. Awesome. From Moldova all the way over there? Wow. I'm honored to be providing content for you. Reborn, thank you, Cabello. Reborn says, what upload speeds would you recommend for streaming in 1080p? Fortunately, I don't match. Yeah, you know, upload it's really tough to find upload speeds that are high because they know that most of your upload is sending a picture or entering text into the browser. So typically your upload speed isn't as important. If you have 15 megabits or higher up, that's fine. You want a high ping rate because you're not sending huge gigabyte files. You're sending packets. And you want those to be sent very fast. With a high ping, you're going to have it sent and sent back. So that's what you really want is a fast ping. And you can actually check, you can Google ping test, and you can actually test just your ping. Oh, thanks, Fresser. I try really hard. Blade says, if I can upload a video that's 1080p 60, is it possible for me to get 1440 60? I don't think it's hard for you to upload that. So yeah, why not? Sometimes there's latency issues. Like for example, in this live stream, I put low latency so that I could talk to you guys. But my stream would support 1440 if I would do away with the latency. So you're welcome, Fresser. Oh, you guys are both from Moldova. That's amazing. Simply amazing. Sideburns, welcome to the party. If you guys don't know, Sideburns actually interviewed me recently. He's a really cool streamer on Twitch, and he's also producing some cool YouTube content. And he interviewed me recently. I'm honored to see you in the chat, dude. He asks, how do you fix the loading bar in File Explorer when it takes a while to see files in Explorer? Great question, Sideburns. Are you doing this on a hard disk drive? If it's on an SSD, you might try disabling indexing. Yeah, I think you got indexing enabled. Yeah. Here, I'll show you. Let me share my screen real quick. Screen share there. Close that. Close it. Why is everything open? So right here in File Explorer, you'll go to your local disk C, and you can also do this to your other drives too. Anything you run programs on. Right click, then Properties, And then yours will automatically be checked right here. Allow files in this drive to have its context indexed in addition to file properties. Go ahead and uncheck that. Click apply and OK. And it might take 10, 15 minutes. But once that's done, you'll have a lot more responsiveness in the drive. So basically, your drives, Windows likes to index them. And it basically consolidates them into indexes for search purposes, for Windows search. But it just reduces the time by like 15 to 20 seconds. So yeah, that's kind of cool in search, but it overall makes the drive less responsive. Definitely. Yeah, Sideburns is actually he's a veteran. And he also is a really funny guy. If you like a high energy stream, follow him on Twitch. If you like some laughs and some more cool game content, he's got some good content on YouTube too. Highly respect the gentleman. And he's a family guy like me. So definitely cool to see another content creator out there. Excuse me, I need some water. Oh, hey, Sassy Pigeon. Okay, if I am streaming with good quality camera on YouTube, but my streams are coming out as standard definition, how do I fix it and make the stream higher quality, please? I would first ask if your stream output in your streaming software is set to the same definition as your camera. So for example, in OBS, which is what I use, I set my stream output for 1080p. So YouTube is going to take it as 1080p, even if my resolution from my camera might be 480. My overall screen is going to be pushing out at that resolution. So I might have a 4K camera, but if in OBS I have it set for 1080, it's going to be 1080 stream. That makes sense. Displayed says, I use NVIDIA GeForce to record and use the highest settings for quality settings. For example, 2160 at 60. I only get 18. I'm wondering if that happens. You know, I haven't really messed with NVIDIA GeForce to record, but maybe it's downscaling. It might be detecting the maximum settings of your camera. Do you have a 2160p camera? Sassy Pigeon says, I'm going straight through YouTube. I couldn't get third-party software to work. Well, that's probably why. In order to control the resolution, you do want to use some stream software. Bitrate is important, especially on both Twitch and on YouTube. So there's something that happens when you have a low bit rate. You get transcoding, where the YouTube servers are automatically downgrading your resolution to keep the stream stable. Attempts to, anyway. Let's see. Should you mess with your NVIDIA 3D settings or just leave it default? You know, in messing with your 3D settings is something I like to do. It's typically useful when you want to force a feature that your GPU supports and NVIDIA supports that isn't supported in the game. So for example, I first learned how to do this in 2006 because I was playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which supported Bloom or HDR. But if you used HDR, you couldn't use anti-aliasing. So a little trick that we did back then was we enabled HDR, but then we forced anti-aliasing with NVIDIA settings, with NVIDIA control panel. So that's kind of what it's for. It is for experimental. I would say someone that doesn't want to play with their system, not do it, but you're not going to break anything. I mean, the worst case scenario is you set it back to default. You could experiment and force features into the game or into an application that aren't in the settings of the game itself. So like when you open the menu to Warzone, it might not support a feature that you could force into the game with your NVIDIA control panel. So it's kind of cool, but you might break something and cause the game to crash. But then you just turn that feature off and then play the game again. So it's cool for experimenting. Hey, Sideburns, I'm really trying to let the knowledge shine because I'm full of useless information until somebody needs it. Okay, thank you. What software do you say you use again? Sassy Pigeon. Oh, I use OBS. Um, and that's literally what it's called. I'll show you it right here. Let me share my screen. So this is actually OBS. And so here I'm control my scenes. And then in my settings, under stream, I have my stream key going through YouTube. Got output. I can control my encoder here, my bit rate, which I have kind of low. That probably should be up at 5,000 for YouTube, but I think I had this set for Twitch. So this actually controls it. When I go back to my stream over here, it's just waiting for my. This is just waiting for my my stream software is doing it all. So yeah, and it's free. Totally free. There's some other applications such as Streamlabs and Stream Elements, which are kind of more geared towards Twitch, and they can add more activity, better for like if you have some things popping up on your screen, little animations. So if you like getting a little creative with that, maybe using Streamlabs, which is also by OBS, so it's OBS Streamlabs. But some of their features cost money. My watermark is actually done by YouTube. That's in the branding section. So that's in Studio and then branding. So my watermark is just that automatically gets put on there whenever I'm on video on YouTube. No problem, Sassy. I hope you really get into this. I'm not much of a streamer per se, but I do like to stream whenever I can, whenever I think that there's a lot of people who have some questions, because sometimes I just can't get to all the comments. Okay, Displayed said, I was just wondering what would happen if I bought a new PC part, for example. The best RTX card and my parts are like cheap. I won't do that. Yeah, it kind of wouldn't make sense to get the greatest GPU in the world when your CPU is outdated, because you'll get some bottlenecking. So it makes more sense financially to scale up. Like, if you have enough money, great, to buy a really high-end, GPU. But typically somebody that can afford a 4090 can afford a whole new case, a whole new motherboard, and the whole shebang. So, my pleasure, Sassy. I'm glad to see you here. Gumika says, I have an HDMI cable and it supports 165 hertz, but doesn't support AMD FreeSync. Not working because I don't have AMD GPU. Well, FreeSync is an AMD technology, so that's only going to work on AMD cards. If you have an RTX card, you could enable FreeSync compatible, and it would probably work with G-Sync. Probably 80% of FreeSync monitors will also work with G-Sync, which they call G-Sync compatible. So just turn turn on FreeSync, and then enable G-Sync compatible, which means it's trying to do FreeSync, and see if that works. So that's what I would do. I've used FreeSync monitors, but used them as G-Sync compatible. What creates bottlenecking? Low CPU, high CPU? It can go either way, but most commonly is to have a really quick system, a really quick GPU that a CPU can't keep up with. So you're limited by how fast the CPU is, no matter how great your GPU is. That's bottlenecking. Or if you have really slow RAM, like if you run DDR3, well, then you're bottlenecked by slow RAM. One of the benefits of GPUs is really fast memory. That's a ton of what goes into gaming performance is memory speed. So the more of that really quick GDDR6 is what allows you to get those fast frame rates. But if your CPU can't, CPU is still the mothership of the system. If it's too slow, you're gonna be limited by how fast that processor can be, and there's nothing you can do that can make it go beyond its limits other than overclocking, which is going to give you a marginal increase. Okay. Let's see. I'm inspired by you and make me want to get better in computers when I'm going to college next year. Awesome, Joshua. That's really cool. Displayed asks, do I play any games? Yes. I have a problem. Let me show you. I have a bit of a problem. You see these two drives? This is a 2 terabyte drive. This is a 2 terabyte RAID, which is two 1 terabyte drives. This is all games. All games. So that's what's on there. And then over here, this is all games. And let me really show you something. Oops. Back over here. This is on my NAS. These are all my games that I have. And this isn't including what's done in like Epic Games and Steam. So yeah, I have a bit of a gaming problem. Don't know how to stop. So I play a lot of I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, a lot of Ghost Recon, Breakpoint lately, Sea of Thieves. Yeah, I've been playing a lot lately, and Sideburns can convince me to get into games every once in a while. Okay, so let me see. Let me catch up on chat here a little bit. There was that. Rez Ant, hey, how you doing? Hey, Nico, just wanted to say thanks for all the tips and saved me from any potential headache. I'm honored I was able to help you out, Rez. I'm really happy for you. Awesome. Thanks for coming in to share that with me. I can't see options in NVIDIA control panel, so I'm asking. Well, let me show you mine. So an NVIDIA control panel right here, and then manage 3D settings, and then under program settings, I could cherry pick a program, or I can add. So this is Tom Clancy's Breakpoint. Anything here that I add, I would be adding to that program and forcing it in. So that's the 3D settings. I think that's what you're talking about. Okay, so okay, so always focus my CPU memory over GPU. Sideburns, they're all pieces of the same pie. So CPU, memory, drive speed, motherboard I/O, GPU, they're all parts of what makes a high performance car, like just like a car. So doesn't matter if you have two turbos, if you put it into a 4-cylinder 87 horsepower car, you're not going to have a Corvette. There's tires, there's transmission, there's suspension, there's all the things that kind of make high performance. The reason people focus so much on GPU is because you could buy an $800 machine with an i7 in it with fast RAM and a fast drive, and then it's not a gaming computer, but you add a GPU to it, and yeah, it is. But so that's kind of why a lot of people focus on GPU. And also, if you have a 2060 and you add a 3070, most likely that machine is still capable of running games there. But let's assume you bought an i3 5 years ago and you put a 2060 in it, or a 1080 Ti, and then you want to put that i5 from 5 years ago with a 3070, you're going to get bottlenecked because that processor was mid-range 5 years ago. Okay. Let's see if I can catch up here. Yeah, Gamika, that free sync option is really good. Scroll to the live section, found it right now, hit subscribe. You found me in the live the live section, Sassy? I had this conception that there was no growth to be had on YouTube Live. I usually go into live expecting only to see my subscribers here. Display says in my task manager, it shows I'm using 67% memory when I only have 3 tabs open in Google. And that's the only app I have open. Excellent. Here's how you fix that. Go into your settings and disable hardware acceleration. Thank me later. Do you have any hot tips on streaming game changers within OBS? Game changers. Don't really understand. Streaming games. When you stream games that are really intensive from the same PC you're streaming on, that gets into some enthusiast territory. Best way to stream games is to use a second PC, such as like a mini PC. They're like this big. I have one right here. This is one. This mini PC here is like an i3 with 16 gigs of RAM and like a 500 gig SSD, and this thing's like $350. So I could put in like a USB HDMI capture card, and that's a streaming PC. And then I'll be playing the game on my gaming rig, but then that's handling OBS. So that's the best way to do game streaming. But you know, if you have a really fast computer with a lot of RAM and a really fast GPU and all the bells and whistles, a lot of those can handle game streaming at the same time. Let's see. Where do you find hardware acceleration? If you go into setting, I'll show you. Here, I'll show you. We'll do it right now. We're gonna open up Chrome. Then we're gonna go here, and then to settings, and then where the hell? System. Here we go. Hardware acceleration when available. Go ahead and uncheck that. Then close Chrome and open it up again and see if that makes it any better. It should. Very common issue. Okay. That's awesome, Sassy. I hope that you know, it's not real common that I meet people in this channel that haven't already seen my videos. So that's amazing. So glad you found me. I'm so glad you're going to be here. Let's see. Does Windows Visual Effects actually take up performance because it's switched on and on? Joshua 17, excellent question. There are a lot of computers that have a hard time with the visual enhancements of Windows, but if you have a quick processor with good RAM, good amount of RAM, and a GPU, there's no problem. Your computer can handle that. It really only affects computers that are a bit underpowered, like kind of dated CPUs, no graphics capability. If you have a GPU, you can handle everything that Windows has on its maximum settings, because the GPU is not going to have any trouble with Windows settings. If you don't have a gaming GPU, then your CPU is handling that, and depending on the CPU, it could get a little bit bogged down or slowed down a tiny bit. So yeah, great question. But a GPU is not going to even sweat. Like, no difference. They're just too quick, too powerful. Let's see. Rez Ant says, hey, Nico, a recent problem I have is when I open Task Manager, it says high power usage. Well, that's not really a problem. Modern CPUs and GPUs generate a lot of power, and there's applications that use a lot of power, such as browsers, games, Discord, you know, video intensive. They'll often be really power intensive. So that by itself, I wouldn't say is a problem. There's a lot of things on computers require a lot of power. High performance computing, which is where we're at now, wants a lot of power. That's why CPUs run really hot. That's why practically every computer you buy has liquid cooling, because everybody wants these things to run like race cars. Hey, Gunnar. Gunnar says, is Windows 11 safe to upgrade for gaming or stick with 10? I answered this question a little bit briefly, and I'll answer it again a little bit. Is Windows 10 is fine the way it is. It's kind of about preference. If you buy a new computer and has Windows 11, it's perfectly fine. There's not a real reason that you should, you know, change to Windows 11. If you want to, go ahead. There's not a there's not a negative. If you don't like Windows 11, stay on Windows 10. It can do everything Windows 11 can do. Windows 11 is mostly a facelift, in my opinion. Some people will talk about the core scheduling and all of that, but it really depends on the use case. For most gamers, Windows 10 is perfectly fine. In fact, this mini PC was running Windows 11 when it came here, and the sponsorship deal for this went through because I refused to review Windows 11 because I put Windows 10 on it, even though it came with Windows 11. Sponsor didn't like it, and I said, well, then no deal. You want it back? And they're like, no, you can have it. See. Sorry, I don't mean actual games. I mean more like life hacks and impactful tweaks. You know, Sassy Pigeon, I'd really like to talk to you off stream. Tell you the truth. You're piquing my interest, and I want to have a thorough discussion with you, if that's okay sometime. Anu says, can we use Android as a flash drive for installation of Windows? No, that would be so cool though. You can use it as a storage drive, just like transfer files over, but it's not really acting like flash storage. You're just able to access it, kind of like a camera. But no, you can't flash it. That would be so cool though. Haha, I have to be careful of my lingo in the new crowd. All good. All good. You're among friends. And I don't have rules here. Unlike Twitch streamers who make their own rules about what people can say. It's different here on YouTube. But if you just don't break TOS, because that's between you and YouTube. So no, everybody can say what they want. You want to torch me? Just, don't make me cry, or I'm gonna get my keyboard all wet. Let's see. Tweeted you out to my 2,500 GFX artists. You tweeted me out? You trying to start a shout out war, Sideburns? You trying to get famous in here? Okay, I'm still on 65% memory. I restarted my PC and still on that. You might want to check your startup displayed. Have you checked my videos on speeding up Windows? Look what this guy said. Public nuisance. See, there you go. Joshua 17 says, what are your thoughts on debloaters, and do they actually make a difference, or can they harm your system? Joshua 17, I have talked about debloater scripts. The ones that I recommend are safe. I can't really comment on every debloater out there, but I know that SyncNex works good. I know that the one on Tron is safe, even though it's a bit kind of scorched earth. But it's safe. Gomika says, Nico, what's the best encoder that can be used on OBS? It really depends on your GPU and your CPU. There's a streamer that I helped out the other day who has an AMD GPU, and she was using the GPU's encoder, and it was terrible. When she switched it to the CPU encoder, then it worked fine. Me, I'm using an NVIDIA encoder, and I have this particular rig is a 3070, and it works fine for me. So it kind of depends. GTX 1650. Oh, you have a GTX 1650. I didn't read that part. The GTX 1650, if you have the studio drivers installed, is really good with the NVIDIA encoder. That's kind of a studio card, technically. GTX cards is like the preferred card for studios. Gunnar says, important question, is that you in the intro rapping, or is that you make the music also? Great question, Gunnar. I'm not the vocalist. I'm the executive producer and writer. But a recording artist that I have collabed with and worked with in the past, named Tazzy, is the artist. Sassy Pigeon, don't make you cry yourself to sleep. Okay. Sideburns would never make me cry. Liar. Public nuisance says, are you a dirty something? Probably. How far have laptops come with the CPU over, say, a full PC CPU? And also, great question, Nathan. Laptops are surprisingly more powerful than they used to be. But if you were to compare an i7 mobile version versus the the desktop version, and an RTX 3070 from the desktop version, they are not the same. The desktop's going to blow it out of the water easily. But the fact that you can do things like play AAA titles with laptops is very amazing. The goofy thing is with laptop performance, a lot of it is the thermals. When I see, Ryzen 9, 32 gigs, DDR5, RTX 3070, 3080 in a laptop, I don't care what that says. I look at how good it cools. Because if it doesn't cool, none of that matters. Let's see. Public nuisance. Have you ever kissed a female? Excellent question. I never get asked that enough. No, never have. Never even talked to a female. I hope to someday, but I'm too shy. Let's see. And you can ask my wife. She can attest to you. Nico, if you use a spoofer, will I lose my warranty? Yes. You, you might turn it into a paperweight too. How far have laptops come? Okay, I already got that one. Studio drivers. Oh, Gumika. The studio drivers of GPU, if you go to NVIDIA's driver website, you'll see there's the game ready driver, and the studio driver. So the studio driver is more geared towards like Adobe products, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, things like that. I mean, it'll still run all the games, and some games it actually runs faster. So studio driver is basically what everyone else is using that's not using GPUs for gaming. I run Fortnite on my Asus ROG Zephyrus and no problems. Yeah, you know, I think Sideburns, you have the Asus Zephyrus G14, if I remember. And yeah, as long as that thing stays cool, it runs fantastic. Cabello, what's concurrent economics of desktops versus laptops? Depends on who you ask, but I would say we're selling a lot more laptops than we used to. We're selling a lot more laptops than desktops. Public nuisance is being cantankerous, but it's funny. But yeah, you know, ever since the mid 2000s, during like 2005, 2006, 2007, right around 2007, 2008, we went away from desktops and more towards laptops. So for the most part, most people that buy desktops are gamers, and everyone else is buying laptops. And then even some of the gamers are buying laptops. So laptops are the majority of computers now. You're rarely going to find somebody that says, I want to buy an HP desktop that doesn't game for my office. It's just not really a common thing. Gumika says, is there a big difference for gaming between them? You know, yeah, there is, like a 25% gap. So a desktop will perform at least 25% typically better than the desktop variant. But they can often play the same games, just you get better frame rates. And also the laptop tends to really get hot. And the thing is like, if I run a gaming laptop and try to run like Cyberpunk, the fans are going to be really noisy. So it's going to be the whole game. And a desktop might be silent the whole time. Let's see. 30%, 30. Yeah, you can often be that. Like I can run Cyberpunk on my I have the same laptop as Sideburns, I believe. It's a popular laptop. It's the Asus Zephyrus G14. I can run around 75 FPS on Cyberpunk at high settings. I can run it at around 230 FPS on my desktop version on ultra, not ultra, but high settings. So it's a dramatic difference. Let's see. Oh, the driver. It depends. There's whole YouTube videos that show the difference of the performance between the studio drivers and the game ready drivers in games, and it's a toss up. Sometimes the studio drivers are better. Sideburns asked Nico, which is better in your opinion, AMD or Intel? Yes. Just kidding. Right now, I'm still a fan of AMD, but Intel is really coming around with their new 13 Gen i9. But I'm an AMD fan. But you're fine with either one on the top end. I tend to find AMD to be a better value for what you get. But when somebody has me design a computer for them, if they're going to be using it without a GPU and they're going to run Adobe products and graphics editing and all that kind of stuff, CAD, Intel kicks the crap out of AMD unless there's a GPU in play. So, but if you have an Intel i9 with an R9 top end, and they both have the same GPU, from what I've seen, the AMD tends to be slightly ahead for less money. But for a laptop without without an RTX card in it, the Intel tends to be a little snappier, tends to be better, a lot more compatibility with a lot of creative applications, probably because they collaborate with Adobe a lot. Let's see. DX Ramos says my PC reverted back to Windows 7 when I had Windows 11. How to revert back? Jeepers creepers. I would run the Windows Media Creation tool direct from Microsoft and just upgrade to 10. Sassy says I had to get a desktop over my laptop to edit YouTube videos. Does it just mean my laptop is super? It really depends. I mean, desktops tend to be quicker when they're in the same hardware. Laptops, a lot of times, are made to be very mobile, very power conservative. So it depends. There are some creative laptops which can hit pretty good, but you can typically get a desktop to go quicker, especially with content creation. What do you think future, say, 10 years investment desktops versus desktops is worth? It really depends, Cabello. PC gaming is making a major comeback. So I think I think PCs are getting more important. But at the same time, fewer and fewer people are wanting laptops, and they're making do with tablets because tablets are getting really good. So there's a lot less people want to open up a screen and be typing at a keyboard. A lot of people just want to do this and then get up and walk and do their business. So, but for gaming, content creation, work, I think it's going to make a comeback. Gumiko asks, if you want to install a studio driver now, do I need to use DDU? Not necessarily. If you want to, you can. Joshua17 asks what my preferred browser is. Firefox, personally. Let's see. Thanks for coming in, Public Nuisance. I hope you're having a good day. And if you're not, I hope you worked out some stress with us a little bit. Are you streaming today, Sideburns? Are you doing your Twitch streamer thing? Rez Ant says, hey, Nico, let's say hypothetically I put a magnet near my 2 RAM slots and now only one works and occasionally freezes. Any tips? I don't know how a magnet would have anything to do with that. I don't see what a magnet would have anything to do with a RAM stick. Sideburn says, do you think we bottlenecks manufacturing-wise with making technology faster? If so, for products in the future, are we going to see less advertising of speed and more on specs? I assume some of that was English. You want to try that again, buddy? What? I don't understand, man. Hey, Ant, welcome to the show. Ugh. What do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to see? You don't tell me what you want to see. I'm gonna show you my nunchucks. DX Ramos, the media creation tool would allow you to upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10 on that computer right now. Sideburners, do you think we hit a wall of how fast a computer can go? Absolutely not. In fact, computers are getting quicker at a very alarming rate, very fast. Joshua says, do you think we will be using computers in the next 20 years? Good question. I would say yes. We're moving to AI and VR and augmented reality. So I think computers are going to be very instrumental in that. I think computers are becoming more important now because 20 years ago, computers were this thing for using word processors and accessing websites, which was all typing, computer, mouse, and keyboard, and that was the connected world. And then you added a webcam to Skype with somebody. That was how you talked internationally. So now it's just become more important. Public nuisance. I'm wearing a typical Virgin shirt. This is a grunt style shirt. Let's see. Vape, no Chihuahua. Yeah, I vape. Kids, don't vape. DX Ramos, yes, you can go to Windows 11. Once you install Windows 10 in your Windows updates, it's going to ask you if you'd like to do a free upgrade. Okay, is it normal for RAM slots and go kaput randomly? It can. What I would try is taking out the RAM and reseating them and see if that happens. It's more common for the RAM yeah, the RAM slot, yeah, it could. I mean, it's not common, but it does happen. Hey, Joshua. Yeah, it is. It's also on my main channel. It's getting spicy in chat. Yeah, I'm glad you're in here, Sideburns, and everybody, because I have a lot to say about, you know, how people act as content creators. On Twitch side, you'll see a lot of streamers, not like anyone in here, but a lot of Twitch streamers, they will create a ton of rules and try to dictate how people are going to talk in chat. And that's really, that's really presumptuous. I'm not going to let that comment through public, man. It's getting a little bit too spicy. Your viewers are not really accountable to you for what they say. And there's some content creators out there that think that they can tell people how to talk. You take the good with the bad, and that's kind of understood on YouTube. Cabello says, do I collaborate with Brightech? No, but I'm a subscriber of his. I really like his content. DX Ramos, I forgot to mention it just keeps freezing, goes into blue screen. I can barely stay on my desktop area. Have you tried updating your BIOS? Sam, hey, how's it going? How does telemetry spy on us? Well, it runs services in the background and gathers regular information and sends it out to the internet, over to the source. So, for example, telemetry through Windows is sending it to telemetry servers. It'll gather errors that you get, things you open, applications you run, how long you've been running them, pretty much all kinds of stuff. And not all of it's been revealed because Windows is not open source. And NVIDIA also knows what games you're doing and a whole bunch of other things. So, Ant says, do I use Linux? Yes. About more than half of my computers are on Linux. And I love it. There's, I want to do more Linux content, but, you know, truth be told, I know how to use Linux. I'm very comfortable with it. I'm by no means a Linux expert. It's a lot harder to become an expert Linux on YouTube than it is to become a Windows expert. Windows is significantly easier to be an expert of. Linux has a very high ceiling as to how good you can be. Because there's people in the Linux community that can design their own kernels. Do you like the YouTube platform more than Twitch? I do, but that's because I'm not much of a streamer. I don't really care for its streaming platform as much as Twitch, but I do prefer the platform because YouTube has around 6.8 billion viewers. Twitch, by comparison, has around 40 million. So, you know, you might, if you get, you know, 1 million views on Twitch, that's great, but you might upload a video and get tens of millions of views on YouTube just by putting up some good content. So it's a much bigger platform. But the thing is with Twitch, you might start streaming this week, and next week you're already getting paid. You might not be paid a lot, but you could be paid something. You could potentially get something. On YouTube, you're never guaranteed to make money at all unless you make YouTube Partner Program, which doesn't even start till 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So yes, I like it when you make it. A Twitch user, rich kids who got bullied. I don't understand, bro. Public nuisance. Would you like to talk about what's on your mind, man? Hope your day gets better. I love Ubuntu, Uber Student, and Mint. I don't really care for Ubuntu, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's extremely popular. The closest thing that I like to Ubuntu would probably be Linux Mint. I'm not a fan of Canonical, if that makes any sense to any people. Nathan, thanks for the answer. Appreciate it. And also, why does my laptop dip to 20 FPS when I unplug it? Great question. Your computer is very power related. So when you're on battery, it's not going to be able to use the GPU and everything at full power because your battery is going to die in like 5 minutes. So they're designed to try and be as high performance while still maintaining some battery life. So when you plug it in, my laptop, for example, if I plug it in through USB-C, through PD, it'll be faster than when it's just on battery, but not quite as fast when I plug it into my 120 watt power supply. Great question. Nico, do you know any way for me to get a lot of watch hours on YouTube? There's a couple ways. There's a whole onion behind that, but there's a couple ways. Is a lot of shorts, because it's a lot easier to get a lot of views on shorts. It's a whole different algorithm. Or longer content. So if you're making a lot of 2-minute videos, it's going to be hard to get 4,000 watch hours. And so typically you want to be over 6 minutes. Over 8 minutes would be even perfect, because when you become a YouTube partner, you get double ad revenue potential at 8 minutes. But you want to stay under 15 minutes unless it's really compelling content. Okay. And Sideburns is halfway to YouTube partner. Yay, you're never going to make it. Give up. Just kidding, man. You're going to do great. Are GPU fan curves important? Swifty, great question. That's enthusiast territory. So there's things you can do, such as undervolting and fan curves, to where, especially NVIDIA GPUs, they work best when they're cold. They'll keep skyrocketing their speed until they get too hot. So fan curve experimentation can potentially keep it cooler longer and higher performing longer. It depends on the GPU. A lot of them benefit from it. But there's Jay's 2 cents, Gamers Nexus. They focus a lot on fan curves and have a lot more information than I do. Another guy that would have some information on that would be Breathorn, who does a lot of PC build stuff, but he also knows a lot about fan curves. Is it bad if my CPU on my task manager goes down to 14%? Not at all. Not at all. It's supposed to go up and down. Katendo, how's it going? Hey man, I came across your channel when I recently got hacked due to me being an idiot and downloading a Trojan because I wanted to jailbreak my iPhone and hacked all my accounts. However, is TromScript good for removing any viruses? Yes, it's great for removing viruses. Not gonna save your accounts. That's kind of gonna be left up to you, but yeah, that's rough when that happens. The Tron will remove it and secure your system a bit. Zahe Beats, welcome. Do you know how switching to borderless windowed mode creates jumpy frames? This really depends on your monitor mostly, because if you're using like some programs don't do well under windowed and some do better. If you're using a G-Sync monitor and you have a G-Sync graphics card or FreeSync, make sure the settings include windowed and borderless and full screen. Otherwise, it's only going to perform where you say G-Sync is going to be. So it's probably a G-Sync or a FreeSync issue where you don't have it set for full screen or windowed borderless. Do your live streams count as watched hours? Absolutely. But the thing with live streams, it's a bit slower because, for example, right now I have, I think, 14 viewers. If I made this into a video, it might be anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 views. So I'm only going to get like 14 times the time that I've been streaming today in watch hours, as opposed to maybe it was a 5-minute video that had thousands of views. It's a lot quicker. Let's see. Rez Ant says, "Hey Nico, me again. Could it possibly be the reason my PC freezes because of my RAM situation? How would you approach this issue?" I would first try to update my BIOS, and then I would take one RAM stick out, the one that I think is okay, and see if my stability goes up. And then I would take it to a shop where they can just pop in a RAM stick they have laying around, rather than buying parts and seeing if I know the answer. I really am not a fan of people buying replacement parts to see if that fixes the problem. It's best to have a technician just test it. Will Wireshark help find a virus? Technically, no, but you might be able to, if you have a network Trojan and you know what you're looking for, you could detect network Trojan traffic. But most people in this industry just use an IPS or an IDS at the router level, or run snort, inline. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about intrusion detection systems. They're network applications that scan network traffic for malicious or intrusive communications. So Wireshark will be a manual software-based. If you knew how to look for Trojan traffic, which is kind of tough without having signatures such as IPS systems, but you theoretically could, but that's not how I would go about it. Nico, you know a free spoofer that I can use? I really don't recommend spoofing. It's a good way to turn your computer into a paperweight. I think if you're going to do that, against my advice, be extremely careful and maybe reconsider it. So I heard it's pointless to go to Ubuntu as it's slow now. There is a lot of bloatware on Ubuntu, and that's for sure. There's a lot of easy to use distributions out there. I think if you really like Ubuntu, you'll like Mint even more. It's a lot lighter. It's beautiful. It's a great platform. I mean, is it the best for everything? No. I think there's a lot of really good distros, but for somebody who's not really experienced with Linux, I think you should start with a Debian-based operating system. If you're already on Ubuntu, then you already love Debian. Swifty, what video is that you walk through using DDU? Let me show you. You're on my channel right here. It's this one right here. Stop installing NVIDIA drivers wrong. Excuse me, y'all. Let me get my page back up. There we go. Okay. You're welcome, Azahe. My pleasure. Let's see. Express driver download or custom advance? Either way, but I would watch the whole video. Is a good starter flavor of Linux. Also Mint. Looks like Windows 10. Is Windows 11 better than 10? No. They're both Windows 10. Windows 11 is Windows 10 Extra Clicks Edition. She used Windows borderless or full screen. Preference, I prefer borderless, but not all games support it. My preference, there's some games that benefit from full screen optimizations, but in my opinion, no. Sam McCormick, will lots of hard drives plugged into the PC make it slower or unstable, or using every USB port? Not necessarily. If you have a lot going on these drives, that does take a toll on the CPU. So theoretically it could, but not just because you have them plugged in. I actually don't recommend having lots of USB hard drives plugged in all the time, because if you get an infection, it's going to go get those, just as if they were your D drive. And there's viruses out there that go to attack external drives. The whole benefit of external drives is being able to keep it safe from anything going on in the computer. It's like backups. Using every, you can have a stability issue, because if there's something wrong at the driver level with that USB device, what a lot of people don't know is that USB is technically hardwired directly into the CPU, like jumped in. So if you have a bad USB device that's having an issue, it can crash the system. So that's why you don't want to put junk, garbage USB devices into your computer. It's risky. If you wouldn't connect it through a PCI slot, don't plug it into your USB port. I haven't an extension hub with 2 merged hard drives inside as well. I love USB extensions and have a USB hub. Yeah, me too. I got a 15 port hub here. I got a lot of USB stuff going on, but I also don't like to put junk in there, you know. Joshua 17, do desktop shortcuts affect PC performance? No, not at all. Cabello, I'm comfortable with Linux, but for commercial apps other than websites and data, I will not match MS or Mac. True. If I download the studio driver from the website, can I still download the updates from NVIDIA GeForce Experience? Yeah, you just have to make sure you install GeForce Experience. Great stuff. Yeah, I got several hubs. Yeah, I got a lot of USB stuff going on. I got like 2 DACs. I got lights, Stream Deck. I got mixers, chargers, mice, and all kinds of stuff. Cameras. The studio drivers are NVIDIA's drivers, which are designed for content creation, studios. They'll, instead of using the game ready drivers, which are more geared towards gaming, but they both kind of work for both. You can use Photoshop and Premiere Pro and all the creator apps, and AutoCAD with the game drivers. But the studio driver is just more tuned for it. But they kind of both work for both things. I'm using the studio driver now, and I game on everything. Should I be using the game ready driver? Maybe, but it's not going to hurt anything. Hey, JMT. Someone I know recently got into hacking, and I'm not sure I wouldn't be a target. How can I protect myself and devices, home network? Don't install anything that guy gives you. Because he's not going to be able to hack in just because he's a hacker. He needs to create an opening, which is usually malware. Yeah, I mean, the 3070 does kind of carry things around, but I have to make the most use of it. I wish I had a 3090. It might be better for render times, especially AI upscaling. Sam McCormick, will Tron script make a PC safe and block all malware? Do you make Tron? Who made it? To your first question, it is really good at removing malware and fixing Windows. It doesn't provide a security solution. I have links in my videos for my recommendations as far as VPN and antivirus. Do I make Tron? No. It's an open source project. There's a large community of people that make it. I know the maintainers, and I'll be having an interview with them very shortly, and I'll be putting it on the channel. Wow, thank you so much. The video is so smooth right now. Awesome. Sweet. What else you guys got? Am I ever going to do a setup reveal? I think I will. I think I should. Kind of show you around the place, Show you my wall or show you this stuff. Maybe a home tour. Use transcript. Okay. Gumega asks, how are the hardware ID bands working? Like, is it detecting every single component? No, it's usually detecting your hard disk drives. Usually the hardware ID generated by Windows as well. Sometimes the CPU. It kind of depends on what company is doing the hardware ID band and how many times they've done it. So, like Easy Anti-Cheat usually doesn't hardware ID ban the first time. They will do it the second or third time. And they'll eventually lock down that whole machine. So even if you sell it to somebody, hopefully they won't ever use a game protected by Easy Anti-Cheat because that hardware is banned. Sassy says, if I want to add a microphone to my live stream setup, is it best to plug in through the camera rather than the computer? No, it's not typically good to go through the camera. If you were going to... No, I actually don't like it through the camera. I have done it before, but it's a pain. I prefer to have mixing available through the interface, because otherwise you're going to have to tweak the audio settings on the camera itself. And some cameras don't even power microphones very well. So I like to use a USB interface. Well, guys, I have time for a few more questions, but I was actually looking to migrate over to Twitch maybe in a little bit and do some gaming. I don't know if you guys would be down for that, but if you guys, I have time for a few more questions. Maybe I'll hit up a streamer and see if I can co-stream with them. Maybe I'll bug Sideburns. Also, join the Discord. I'm going to be spending a lot more time in there, and you guys can hang out with me. Gumika, it's Nico Knows Tech, so it's Twitch/Nico Knows Tech. I'll put it here. There you go. Yeah, Joshua, you can absolutely use the studio drivers. In fact, if you installed the studio drivers on accident sometime, you probably wouldn't even notice the difference. The studio drivers actually mostly only affect creator applications. They don't really have a big gaming effect. But yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank everyone for coming. I'm really glad that I actually got to meet some new people in here, and because like I said, I didn't really expect to actually get some growth out of here. Usually live stream, I just meet my my regular subscribers. Sam McCormick says, I downloaded cracked Adobe by accident and had malware and I removed it. Am I safe? Most likely, yeah. Okay, guys. You too, Nathan. Thank you for everybody that had great questions. I love you guys so much. Does my Discord have vanity? I think so. I am leaving, but I'm gonna try and hop on back maybe after I put my baby to bed. Unless someone donates $50. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be on Twitch. Go hang out with the Sideburns maybe. Okay. I'm not gonna dance for you, but I'll do some nunchucking. The link is twitch.tv/Nico Knows Tech. It's right here. And I'm a bit of a sweat on some games, but definitely a place to game with me, hang out with me in a bit less a little more informal environment, because Twitch is the trailer park of platforms. I don't know, dude. We'll game. We'll do something. We'll game. Yeah, man. These are the real deal, man. These are the real made in China wooden chucks. Discord link. Oh, here. Fine. Just kidding, guys, of course. Create link. All right, here's the Discord link. There you go. Everybody join up. Have fun. Well, there's the new one. I just created that one right now. There you go. I'll fix the one that's apparently not working. And hopefully see you guys over on Twitch. I'm gonna bug my streamer friends, and I'll put an announcement in on my creator tab. This guy, man, what's your deal? What's your deal talking about calling everybody virgins? Like, is that an insult? Okay. All right, guys. I will see you guys on Twitch later. If not, just keep an eye on Discord or in my community tab. So if you are subscribed to my channel, you'll get the notification if you have notifications on. And then if you're following my Twitch, you should get a notification there. And I'll try and be on, and we'll do some gaming. All right, I'll see you guys there. Thank you so much.